Hello, tiny friends. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be working on this music box camper kit. And I really love the way that it looks as is. And of course, I would love to create it that way. But that's not something that I usually do. So since this is a time travel camper, I'm going to take it back into time a little bit and create a very old camper from the 1970s. This will be a two-part video. So for part one, I'm going to be working on the exterior. And part two, I'll work on the interior. And I'm hoping to make a small base for it so that it can have some sort of yard scene as well. Normally, I tend to shy away from kits like this because they have so many pieces and parts, and usually they don't come with very good instructions. I usually open up the kit, check it out, get super overwhelmed, pack it back up, and put it away. But this time, I thought I would try something different to help me from feeling very overwhelmed. This kit is full of really cute miniature accessories, and even if I don't use them all in the project, I still want to create them to share them with you because you would probably remember how to make these. They look like simple DIYs. It's something that you'd be able to use over and over again in your future projects. So I do want to share those with you as well. Even if you don't have this kit, you'll learn how to create some of the accessories that are included with it. The first thing I did after pulling out all of the parts was do a checklist. I went through all the pieces and parts to make sure that I had everything I needed, but I was missing a few pieces of one part, and then I had more pieces than I needed of another part, and I was missing a glue bottle. By the time I was finished with the checklist, I felt a little more comfortable. I was no longer overwhelmed. I was familiar with the pieces and parts. Things started to make more sense to me, and then I was super excited to get started. So I think it's a very important step to do. Always do a checklist first, because I think that you're really going to need to know what you have, what you don't have, and what you may need. Here is the camper shell. It's a pretty good size. I'm really not sure if it's a 1/12. I think it may be slightly smaller, maybe a 1/16 or a 1/18. It is a really nice size kit. Okay, I did some organizing in the bags with the parts. Try to put them together a little bit by size and small tiny pieces or whatnot. I have fitted the door already, and I have sanded the door down so it just pops right into place. But I don't think there's any glue needed for this because they pop in so snug that you really don't need to glue it down. The first problem that I came across was that none of the frames fit in the openings. So I guess that's why they give you a small piece of sandpaper, because you're going to have to do a lot of sanding for this project. I'm going to be painting all of my frames. I'm going to be sanding the frames down, and then I'll just go from there. If you have this kit and you don't want to paint it, you want to leave it as is, I would suggest sanding the openings and not the frames. But as you can see, none of these frames are fitting in the openings. Even if I'm turning them in every direction, they're just not fitting. I do have one piece that fits, no sanding necessary, the skylight window. It fits pretty good, but it falls straight through. The inserts to the frame fit pretty well, so I don't have to worry about that. This is the door, and it also comes with a window frame that does not fit. And I have turned this every direction because sometimes, depending on the cut, it will fit in a certain way, Not in this case. The inserts are so delicate and I've already broken one, so I'm going to set it aside to either repair it or remake it. Okay, I'm skipping ahead a bit. I want this camper to have some siding on it. I took my ruler and a pencil and created some lines, and now I'm going in with a round needle file to create some grooves to separate the siding panel. I'm not sure what kind of wood this is. It's pretty sturdy, but it also is very easy to mark up. So I was able to do this part of the project with very little effort. It was just super tedious, but very easy. I did get a few scratch marks on it, but I don't think that's going to make a difference in the end. I'm going to go ahead and paint the camper and the trimming off camera, so when I come back to it and the next time you see it, it'll look more 70s. Moving on to the frames and the door. I have already glued in the inserts in all of the frames. I broke a few of them. I did begin to paint the frames with my silver chrome paint pen. While they are all drying, I want to go ahead and paint the door. I want to make the door look like an old camper door that has all that bumpy texture on it. So in order to do that, I'm going to use my chalk paint. Chalk paint is super thick and it's going to leave that texture behind that I'm looking for. I'm going to use my sponge dauber and just do a sponge method. And I'm using cashew, which is an ivory color, because I am out of white chalk paint. But when it dries, I'll go back in and paint the door white. I'm using a lot of paint on my sponge because that's going to leave all that texture behind that I want to create. I'm not sure if you can see that texture, but it's really there, and it's starting to look like an old camper door. The door is dry, and I'm going to add a few details to it. The little stick came with the kit, and it is a detail for the door, but I created the door handle. I cut a tiny piece of a disposable aluminum pie pan, and then I flattened a piece of aluminum wire and glued that around the edge. And then I just added a tiny piece of wood for the handle. I painted it all chrome, and now I'm going to glue these pieces on with tacky glue. The kit comes with a small sheet of acetate for the windows. I don't think it was intended to cover up all of the windows, but I will be covering up all of the windows in the camper. For the skylight window, the door window, and there's also a tiny window, I'm going to be frosting the acetate sheet so that you can't see in. I'm just going to use a piece of fine grit sandpaper, sand the acetate sheet in a circular motion to frost it. I'm also going to go ahead and install all of these windows and then come back to finish off the details of the framing. I'm going to start the aging process, and I'm going to begin with the roof. I've already kind of started there, and I really want to add a lot of rust because there's a lot of chrome on this camper, so there's going to need to be a lot of rust. I've seen several creators use cinnamon for rust, and I am fresh out of cinnamon, so I am going to use ground cayenne pepper. It's a rusty color, and I think it may work out very well. I'm just going to create a paste using a little bit of water, clear tacky glue, and then the cayenne pepper. I've never used cinnamon before for rust, and I really never did anything like this before, so I'm really hoping that it's going to work out. Okay, I did do a test run on this and it looks pretty good. Now, it does look more like tomato paste. On camera, it's really red and orangey yellow, but it doesn't look like that at all in real life. I'll turn the light off and show you what it really looks like. But right now, I'm still kind of a little nervous putting this on, but I'm just going to continue to slap this stuff on, and I can always add more to it. Now this is something that I can definitely get carried away with, so I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot more rust on this camper in the end. I will say this cayenne pepper paste is leaving some really good spotting behind, and that's what rust really does. I'm also going in to add a little bit on the door as well. The cayenne pepper worked out so good, and I love how this rust is looking. It left a lot of texture behind, it left a lot of good rust spotting, and I am definitely going to use ground cayenne pepper for rust in the future. Now it's time to finish off the chrome trimming, and I'm using brown cardstock. I've coated it with Mod Podge, and then I painted it with my silver chrome paint pen. If I didn't coat it with Mod Podge, the paper would have just soaked up all of the paint. But I'm just going to lay these strips along where the two colors meet. And I'm going to use tacky glue to glue these into place. The yellow that I used, I just added a little bit of deep ochre to it to darken it up, and now it looks more like a mustard yellow. Next, I'm going to go ahead and finish up the detailing around the window frames. You can see that there are some gaps around the window frames, and that is because after I painted the window frames, they just didn't fit. So I had to go in and sand the openings. I do not recommend using a Dremel on this because it just ate the wood up. But I'm going to go ahead and fix that. I'm using this brown cardstock, and I'm just going to use a scrap of it. I've coated it with the Mod Podge, and then I painted it with the chrome paint pen. After that, I cut it down into tiny little strips, and this is what I'm going to use to frame around the frames. I'm just going to use tacky glue to put these into place. I'm just basically eyeballing the measurement, marking it with my fingernail, cutting it with my craft knife, and then just putting it into place. I'm using a cotton swab to press the piece down. Okay, I've popped the door into place. It doesn't have any hinges. It didn't come with any hinges. And it didn't need any glue because it's so tight, it's not going anywhere. I'm just gonna leave the door closed and keep it closed. But if you have this kit, or you get this kit, and you want your door to open, that's completely optional. Right now I'm gonna make a couple details around the door. And I'm gonna make a step that goes underneath the door. So I'm taking one of the steps that came with the kit, and I created a couple grooves in it to make it look like aluminum. I'm just gonna glue it down here, and then I'm using a couple pieces from one of the chairs, and I'm gonna use these for the bars that hold the step. This camper wouldn't be legit without a handle next to the door. So I'm using a piece of aluminum wire. I'm shaping it with one of my pencils, and then I'm using a hammer to give it a couple pounds on each end to flatten the ends. And I want to make sure that it sits flat against the surface as well. I'm just going to use Loctite super glue to glue this handle into place right next to the door. Now there's a handle to hold on to while climbing into the camper. It's getting there, tiny friends, but it's not quite old enough yet. We still have a little bit of work to do. I'm going to do a little bit of work to these resin wheels that came with the kit. Originally they were painted all black and the rim was painted gray, but I went ahead and painted the white walls, and then I painted over the gray with my chrome marker. Now I'm going to take a couple metal tidbits and create a hubcap. I'm using clip-on earring backs, and I'm just clipping off the circle pieces. And then I've taken a couple of grommets, or very large eyelets, and I painted them the color of the camper. I'm just going to use super glue to put these pieces together. You're really not going to be able to see much of the wheels, but if somebody looks closely, they'll be able to see this detail. The kit comes with a wooden box that sits on the trailer hitch, and I'm going to replace that with a propane tank because that's where the propane tank goes. I'm using this Dollar Tree finger stamper, and the sponge part was no good. It was dried out, and it kind of looks like a propane tank, so I'm going to turn it into one. Now the sponge part was a little wonky, so I'm going to give it a nice thick layer of wood glue. When this layer dries, I'll just play it by ear if I need to add more, but I will be sanding it down to smooth it out. I'm just trying to help it out a little bit. For the very top part, I'm still trying to figure out what metal tidbits I'm going to need to create that. So it's not going to look like this in the end, but I'm just at that stage right now where I'm just trying to figure it out. I've already given the stamper a first layer of chrome paint, but I'm going to wait till everything is all put together and dried before giving it its final coat. Here's what the stamper originally looked like, and you can see that the top part is a little wonky. But the glue is dried and I've cut a hole into it. It's not exactly in the center, but it'll work. I'm going to take another earring back and do the same thing I did with the hubcaps. So I'm going to put these two pieces together, and then I'm going to use a couple more little pieces to put this all together. I'm going to be using my Loctite super glue to glue all the pieces into place. These 3 pieces will create the hitch that attaches to the camper, and I'm just using tacky glue to put them together. I've already started to age the camper, and I'm using chalk pastel. I'm only going to use brown, and I'm using both dry and wet. I'm just using a variety of different tools to apply it, and I'm just going to keep adding to it a little at a time as I go along. So I'm beginning with a blending stick, and I'm just going into the grooves to bring those out. I'm going in behind that with a brush and some dry chalk pastel. This helps blend it out a little more. I'll go back in with a tiny cotton stick and a wet chalk just to add some darker areas. And then I go in and blend those out as well. I'm also going around the rust patches just to add a little more contrast around the edges of those. And then I just keep going back and forth, adding a little more as I go along. That part of the aging process is completed, so now I'm going to go back in and add a little more rust. This time I'm giving you a better look at how I'm actually making it. So just a little bit of water, a little bit of tacky glue, and a lot of ground cayenne pepper. I'm going to go ahead and add some dead greenery and moss to the camper. I've got a variety of colors of moss. I've chopped it up. I'm adding a little bit of water and clear tacky glue. I'm creating a pasty mixture with this, and I'll apply it with my fingers. I also have a bag of this stretchy vines. I'm not sure what this is. I think it's fabric. Whatever this is, it's super fun, super stretchy, and I just love it. So I'm going to add some of this around as well. The kit comes with 6 wooden flower boxes, but I'm only going to use 4, and the bottoms of these are paper. I'm using a piece of floral foam for a filler, and then I'm going to begin to add dirt and dead greenery. The dirt is just made up of Mod Podge and coffee grounds. I'm going to begin with the moss mixture that I made with chopped moss, glue, and water. Next, I'm cutting up some very tiny patches of grass, and I'm going to glue those into place as well. Next, I'm adding some cream dried flowers to make it look like dead plants. And last, I'm gluing in some of these stretchy vines. One of the final details will be creating some lights for the back of the camper. I've taken a very easy bendable wire and I've wrapped it around a pencil, creating a ring. I clipped off the ends and I'm going to fill these rings in with red resin. The first time I tried this, the resin leaked out from the rings. So I'm just going to cure it at the same time I'm applying the resin and just continue to build on from there to prevent it from leaking. I'm also going to throw these inside my larger resin curer for a few minutes just to be on the safe side. While these are curing, I'm going to install the wheels and the support block for stability. I'm using tacky glue to install the resin lights. And I'm installing the hitch. It looks brand new now, but I'm going to add some rust to it. For the awning, if you have this kit, you can choose to have your awning straight and flat, but I wanted to curve mine a little bit. It was easy to do so because this is just a piece of paper covered with a piece of fabric. I'm using aluminum wire for the poles and some metal bead spacers for the support brackets. Now I get to add my favorite piece, the propane tank. I added a little round piece of card to the bottom so it has a little more stability for the glue. Once I get this propane tank installed, I'll add a little more rust to the hitch. Well, that is all I have for you today, tiny friends. I hope you enjoyed this episode of this very old 1970s camper. In part 2, I'll finish off the interior, add the music box and lighting, and create a very small fun yard scene. I like to welcome all my new subscribers and thank you all for watching. I really appreciate all of your support. I also would like to thank all of my coffee supporters. Thank you so much for helping me to achieve my coffee goal. If you've enjoyed today's video, don't forget to click that like button and let me know what you thought about this camper in the comments below. If you're new today and you're just joining in for the first time and you would like to see more of my creations, please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to hit that top bell notification button to be notified every time I upload a new project so you don't miss out. Until next time, tiny friends, I hope you all have a lovely day, and I will see you all on the mini side. Bye-bye.